वर्किंग कैपिटल की कमी ऐसी ही एक समस्या है। आज फाइनेंस से जुड़े सवालों और मुद्दों पर बात करने के लिए EBF की टीम पहुंची है बैंगलोर, जहां SME सेक्टर इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट से सीधा इंटरैक्शन कर अपने जवाबों को तलाशने की कोशिश करेगा।
And let me introduce our panelists, our eminent panelists who will be joining us today for this evening session. Let me first of all invite Madam Swati SM. She's from Corporation Bank. She's the General Manager and Circle Head of Karnataka. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Please do join us, ma'am. Here's Mr. Sumit Keshan. He's the CFO of Gokuldas Exports. Good evening, Mr. Keshan. Thank you for joining us, sir. We would like to invite Mr. Ashwin Raghuraman. He's from India Innovation Fund and he's the Chief Operating Officer, CEO of India Innovation Fund. So all about innovation, it's the in thing, but how to innovate, how to move ahead, he will be talking on all those aspects. I would also like to invite Mr. Ajay Thakur. He heads Bombay Stock Exchange, the SME wing. He's come all the way from Mumbai for this session. Thank you, Mr. Thakur, for joining us, sir. He'll be talking on all those aspects. I would also like to invite Mr. Ajay Thakur. He heads Bombay Stock Exchange, the SME wing. He's come all the way from Mumbai for this session. Thank you, Mr. Thakur, for joining us, sir. So we will be beginning the panel discussion, but for delegates and viewers, we would like to inform you that if you have any query or suggestion, you can tweet us and you can join us at #EBF2014. That is the place where we will be expecting and awaiting your queries and as well as your suggestions for this event. Let's begin this round. First of all, let's take opening comments from our eminent panelists. We'll begin with the Swati ma'am. Ma'am, overall concerns as far as the SME sector is concerned, financing is one of the major challenge. So how do you address this large gap which is still there?
Well, I think in my opinion, there are two sectors that are operating in the industrial areas. The one is well-organized sector. The other one is an unorganized sector, which is really finding problem in getting the finance from the financial institutions. Unorganized sectors who are not educated to the level that they need to, who are not keeping the books of accounts, who cannot have the approach to the government organizations or the departments to fulfill the statutory compliance, are the people who have to be handled. Therefore, in my opinion, that there are associations which are there in every industrial clusters. They are the people who have to do the hand-holding for these people.
You feel awareness is less, awareness is low. But even ma'am, those who have awareness, those who know about the schemes, they're not able to avail it.
That's true. In spite of, they are very good in experience, they are very good in the work and all. But because they are not aware how to go, where to approach, what to do, they are not getting the finance to the level which they desire.
Let's take the opening comments from Mr. Keshan. How do you view this? Why are SMEs not able to get adequate credit, timely credit, affordable credit? Why, despite so many schemes, they are facing this major problem? How should this be addressed?
98% of business in the country falls under SME. Look at the size. Out of this, 80 to 90%, they don't have access to formal financing channels. While the banking sector is evolving in the country, banks have to see this as an opportunity. And once they see this as an opportunity and not a PSL, they have to have simplified methods of assessing, of disbursing loans. Perhaps they can have relationship management concept. Who works with the SMEs, handholds them, tell them what is the requirement of the bank, and how can you really work with us.
Right.
Second, these guys can also act as risk managers, so there are no surprises to the bank.
Okay.
Third is decision making at the branch level.
Mr. Ajay Thakur, your views, how do you assess this situation? Why is such a large portion of the SMEs cut off from the formal banking channel?
Most of the promoters of the SME companies are technocrats. They don't understand the financial part. And at the same time, they don't employ good people in their company who understand the financial pattern and how to raise funds. As far as banks are concerned, in last 10 years, we have seen that banks have opening themselves. They have started approaching to the various SME companies, etc. But the role has to be played not from the financial side, but also from the SME side. SMEs need to improve their balance sheet. They have to put their facts and figures straight. They have to make a good balance sheet. They should try to put the proposal and whatever they require in a proper and efficient manner to their financial advisors as well as the banks and other alternative investment funds.
Okay.
So if these things can be done, I think the bridge can be gapped between the SME requirement and the other people who want to fund them. At the same time, not only the banks, even the other financial people who are financing this company should change their approach. Instead of know your client, let us try to have the approach of understand your client.
Before we move to Mr. Ashwin, ma'am, as far as SMEs are concerned, is this also concerned that they don't maintain their books properly or they don't reflect their true income, and what is available to you, you take a call accordingly?
We also realize that there are the section of the people who can't afford to an appointee and a CA also, chartered accountant also, and such people there are certain schemes where we just use a thumb rule, saying that if they have a turnover, if they project some turnover, just simply take 20% of that as the eligibility amount and we simply sanction the loan. Only requirement is that you all know that up to 1 crore, we don't insist even for the security also. Whatever the assets we finance is the only security, and we cover it under CGTMSC, that is Credit Guarantee Corporation. So taking that into as a security, most of the times we go for sanctioning up to 1 crore. Of course, I think the term loan and other things and all depending upon your, the projections to go for the mechanization, 75% of that also we are taking it out. Even sometimes for the deserving people, we go up to 80-85%.
Mr. Ashwin, your opening comments. We would like to know, as far as innovation is concerned, that's the in thing. There's a lot of talk happening on that. But how to go about it?
The key to innovating is, I think, understanding what is happening in the world outside, right? To do that, what I find is you need to speak to as many people as possible. Now, on the other side, right, financing side, and there's a very interesting word that somebody uses often, which is grammar. And you need to understand the grammar of the person who's financing you. So first, it's horses for courses, right? What stage are you in your evolution? And therefore, you go to the appropriate person to finance you. Either a venture capitalist, an early stage, growth stage, there are nuances, right? There are incubators. Do you want to get financed by an incubator? There are government schemes. Do you want to use that? Or do you want to go to a bank? So first understand where you want to go for your financing. I must, however, qualify this and say, see, the onus is not, when you're talking about innovation, not just at the side of the entrepreneur, but also at, the onus, there does lie some onus on the financiers. And we need to move as even a venture capital community towards a little bit more risk-taking and not be as conservative as we are.
Right. Mr. Kishan, as far as innovation is concerned, in these tough times, how important is this to actually think out of the box?
Today, the kind of tools available in the marketplace to innovate are many. So obviously it will depend on what kind of business you are in. I just want to pick on one project. Your business needs an advertisement to be made, and you perhaps are spending 5 lakhs rupees, for example, instance, to make that ad film or something. This technology or this process allows you to make that at 10% of the cost. Which means instead of 5 lakhs, you're spending 50,000 and getting your job done. So this is one example, and there are many more tools which are really available in the marketplace today, which you can use and leverage your business, bring down your cost, stabilize your cash flow.
Yeah.
So that is the way I see innovation.
We have our next panelist also joining us. He's here, Mr. Sumit Bedi. He is the General Manager Marketing at IndiaMART. Mr. Bedi. So we'll take the opening comments from Mr. Bedi.
There is obviously a big gap among the lending community to see SMEs as partners. We usually see that families, friends are the first financiers in most of the businesses. What is the fundamental of that? These are the people who believe in you, right? These are the people who believe in your concept, in your idea, in your understanding of the market. I think that same fundamental, that same concept has to continue whenever you're looking for the next level of, be it the lending institutions like banks or even the investors at the later stage, right? So
yeah.
I think that whole concept of understanding between the two communities is very critical.
Okay. Ma'am, as far as SME is concerned, let's open up now. It comes under the priority sector lending. Prime Minister's task force recommended that year-on-year growth as far as credit to MSMEs should be 20%. So what is the status as of now?
if you consider Corporation Bank, we have lent 35% as against 20% previous year. And the amount-wise also, I think it is doubling every year. So I feel that the gap is not widening and it is narrowing every year. And the bank is also trying the ways and means to help the entrepreneurs.
Any tips as to how they should approach you?
Nothing like an individual approach, the personal approach to the local branch managers.
We'll continue this discussion. Time for us to take a break right now. We'll be back soon.
He would like to focus on his operations, getting business and executing them rather than spending most of his time in paperwork. We see a lot of companies which are small size and medium size. They have single product. They have one customer. You know, many of the export companies have one customer, or they have one geography concentration. So the concentration risk needs to come down, which can result in stability of profits and cash flows.
ये कहानी है रोहन की। उसे बनानी थी एक शर्ट, पर ना थे उसके पास बटन्स, ना थ्रेड, ना फैब्रिक, ना कॉलर्स। अरे मगर ये देखो, 14 लाख सप्लायर्स और 1 लाख प्रोडक्ट्स। ये आ गया थ्रेड सूरत से, बटन्स घूमते हुए मुरादाबाद से, फैब्रिक फ्रॉम लुधियाना और कॉलर्स पहुंच गए चेन्नई से। अब रोहन हजारों शर्ट्स बना सकता है पूरी दुनिया के लिए। बिजनेस कम्स टुगेदर एट IndiaMART।
जब सरोकार से दूर हो सरकार, जब हाशिए पर हो आम आदमी के अधिकार, जब जरूरतों पर हावी हो जाए बाजार, जब देश के सामने खड़े हों कई अहम सवाल, तो जरूरी है बड़ी बहस।
Big story, big debate with Amish Devgan at 8 p.m.
प्रायोजक हैं BML मुंजाल यूनिवर्सिटी, देगी मिर्च का तड़का अंग अंग फड़का, MDH की देगी मिर्च और LIC हाउसिंग फाइनेंस, घर बसाए रिश्ते सजाए।
That's the best!
That calls for Carlsberg Elephant Club Glasses.
If I'm the captain of the Indian cricket team, then Amrapali Group is the captain of real estate.
Amrapali Group, developing India.
दीपिका, अब आप एक्सिस बैंक के साथ हो। How do you feel?
How do I feel? I feel like मैं आगे बढ़ रही हूँ। बढ़ती का नाम जिंदगी, right? Next question.
इम्तिहान जो बनाएगा सुल्तान।
GDR is a bank certificate issued in more than one country for shares in foreign company. What does it stand for?
Global dashboard.
No, that's a wrong answer.
1,500 तक का नीचे का टारगेट पे स्टॉप लॉस लगा देना चाहिए।
We have not understood your assumption.
उनका पूरा कैपिटल वाइप आउट नहीं हो जाएगा।
मेरे हाथ में दर्द है, तो आप ये नहीं बोलोगे ना कि हाथ काट के निकाल दो।
कौन बना मुंबई का सुल्तान? जानने के लिए देखिए इंडियाज बिगेस्ट डेरिवेटिव्स रियलिटी शो सेंसेक्स का सुल्तान सीजन 2 मुंबई राउंड, शनिवार सुबह 11 बजे और रविवार शाम 5 बजे। टेक्नोलॉजी पार्टनर वीडियोकॉन DDB नहीं तो टीवी नहीं। फास्ट मनी फास्ट मुनाफा,
फटाफट मुनाफा कमाने का तरीका। रोज सुबह ट्रेडिंग एक्सप्रेस में फायदे की 20 सौगात,
मनी एक्सप्रेस में मोटे मुनाफे की बात।
और हाँ, आपके पास है मौका टीवी पर आने का।
बस SMS करें,
अपना ट्रेड बताएं और ट्रेड गुरु बन जाए।
फास्ट मनी सोमवार से शुक्रवार सुबह 7:30 बजे। प्रायोजक हैं लक्स कोजी इनरवेयर, अपना लक पहन के चलो, और LIC हाउसिंग फाइनेंस, घर बसाए रिश्ते सजाए।
Welcome back. You're watching Emerging Business Forum. Today we are here in Bangalore discussing SME financing issues. And before we proceed any further with the discussion, I'll look at today's first success story. This represents Arvind Interiors Private Limited. And this is the journey of Mr. Ashok. He's into the furniture space, into manufacturing, exporting, also supplying. A look at his journey.
सपनों को हकीकत की उड़ान देना अरविंद इंटीरियर के अशोक एम से सीखी। साल 1990 में इंटीरियर्स और फर्नीचर के कारोबार की शुरुआत छोटी सी जमा पूंजी से करने वाले अशोक आज देश और दुनिया भर में अपनी अलग पहचान बनाने में काफी हद तक सफल हुए हैं। अरविंद इंटीरियर्स का काम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और देश भर में फर्नीचर सप्लाई करना है। 2 लोगों से शुरू हुआ ये कारवां आज 100 लोगों की टीम में तब्दील हो चुका है। मुश्किलें कई थी, लेकिन जज्बा था कुछ कर दिखाने का।
The challenge we faced in 1999 in Bombay store in MG Road, we were done within 25 days and around 25,000 square feet. So that time. So and everybody told how much 20 days how is it possible, but you are given the supply and done their hard work and finished that on time.
अशोक बताते हैं कि कंपनी का टर्नओवर हाल फिलहाल में और बेहतर हुआ है, लेकिन नए बाजारों की खोज लगातार जारी है। अशोक मानते हैं कि किसी भी बिजनेस की कामयाबी के लिए काम और खुद में अनुशासन होना बेहद जरूरी है और यही अशोक का भी सक्सेस मंत्र रहा है। अशोक और उनकी पूरी टीम को इंडिया मार्ट इमर्जिंग बिजनेस फोरम की ओर से शुभकामनाएं।
Mr. Ashok is here with us. Congratulations, sir. You have been featured as a success story for the Bangalore round. Thank you for joining us. We would like to take a few views from you, sir. This present slowdown which is there, and there are a lot of pressures. These are really tough times. Has that had really any impact on your business?
See, now the business are slow, but you are getting how much requirement is there, that is coming.
How tough was in fact 2008-9 for you?
Yeah, 2008 and 9 is very, very bad because that time in 2008 and 9 is recession time. So retail also, you are doing a lot of more retail works. So they're in the retail hall and problem in the 2008 and 9.
How did you overcome that? Because at that time many small businesses were really in fact shut down too.
We face the problem, lot of things, because of you not have a finance support.
So as the theme for today is also SME financing issues. We would
Yes,
like
sir.
to, you can in fact have some suggestions for the bankers?
Finance support, because I faced around 24 years. So that time I went bank also, madam says, so we'll give the reports and your chartered account detail, everything's then you'll get a loans. So there also see, starting one small indices, around 5 people or 6 people, is starting for 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs or business. You not have any properties, anything, you keep a surety and take the loans. So only thing, one bank you are opening the account, so that person is doing a transaction 1 year or 2 year or 3 year and one bank.
Okay. Achha, as far as bank branches are concerned, Sumit, like he was talking about, he's not focusing at all on marketing. Is that the right strategy, in fact, or you should revisit that?
First of all, in terms of marketing, the understanding needs to broaden today. I think from the age that we've seen, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, TV, print used to be the only definition. If you would ask any, or even the small or the bigger enterprises. Today with the whole digital arena opening up, right, the online marketplaces that have opened up recently, I think that has kind of, brought new avenues for not only the small players, even the bigger ones as well.
Yeah.
And it's I'll call it, there's a term called performance marketing. So it's more than marketing and just going out and advertising a brand. It's the digital, brings you the ROI right in front of you. Right? And that performance marketing is something which you as the owner of the business can measure day in, day out, and then, fine tune your campaigns accordingly. Right? So I think that's something which, most of these new age entrepreneurs need to look at.
Kishan Saab, if SME units are able to focus and concentrate more on their core business, and these formalities which are there are, in fact, the entire process is simplified, is that the need of the hour?
Important aspect of any business is to focus on your core. That is what Mr. Ashok would like to do. He would like to focus on his operations, getting business and executing them rather than spending most of his time in paperwork. We see a lot of companies which are small size and medium size. They have single product. They have one customer. many of the export companies have one customer, or they have one geography concentration. So the concentration risk needs to come down, which can result in stability of profits and cash flows. And what I mean here is, on a, let's say, year-on-year basis, there is no yo-yo. So any investor would like to see stable cash flows. The second part is, you perhaps can look at outsourcing your accounting and documentation. And there are firms who can actually take over and do your work, so that you can really concentrate on your core.
Okay.
There are a couple of things which come to my mind.
Right, sir. Please take a seat, and thank you very much for joining us, sir. Thank you. Mr. Thakur, now we would like to come to you, and if you can just tell the delegates, basically, Bombay Stock Exchange, the SME wing, does size matter, or in fact, what type of companies have actually been listed?
Last 2 years, we have had this floated this SME platform, a stock exchange, whereby we have kept the rules and regulations very simple. So any company having post-issue paid-up capital of 1 crore with a net worth of 3 crores and net tangible asset of 1 crore can get listed on this stock exchange. Okay. We don't see much on the profit track record. Besides that, recently we have also launched institutional trading platform where the companies can get listed without bringing IPO. So the cost is very less here.
As far as sentiments are concerned, they play a very major role as far as the main exchange are concerned, and while listing and all. What has been the experience like? Because these are tough times. So despite that, are companies coming forward towards the SME exchange?
As far as stock exchange are concerned, these are long-term funds. These are not short-term funds that today you take and you can think that, okay, with this I can do this or that or etc. It's a long-term fund. And most of the investors look into your bottom line. How is the bottom line performing? How is your cash flow statement? And then getting funds from the stock exchange is not so difficult. We have seen from Bangalore, we have examples of Infosys, Wipro, etc. And recently we have got 2 companies listed from Bangalore on SME platform, and both these 2 companies are in realty sector.
Time for us to take another break right now. We'll be back soon.
If you have significant impact on either the way people live their lives or the way an industry works, the revenues and the money will flow in automatically, right? So as an investor, you already know that the financial aspect is taken care of.
पापा ने बोला पंखे का फैक्ट्री बंद कर दो, उसमें कोई प्रॉफिट नहीं। पर मैंने बोला नो, मुझे ये करने का है, मुझे पंखा बनाने का है। ये गधेड़ा आ थेपला का ढोकला नहीं कि हाथ फेरे और बन गए। पंखा है पंखा। हेलो पप्पा, 14 लाख सप्लायर અને 1 लाख प्रोडक्ट आजो। यूपी से ब्लेड અને मोटर, हरियाणा से कवर અને આપણા ગુજરાત માંથી પ્લાસ્ટિક અને બેઝ। पंखा की फैक्ट्री चाली पड़ी। मजा पड़ी गई।
Business comes together at IndiaMART.
बाजार का लाइव हाल और बाजार में मुनाफे की कॉल।
बाजार खुलने से लेकर बाजार बंद होने तक।
बाजार की हर बाजी।
शेयर बाजार लाइव और अंतिम बाजी।
गुड मेरा दुश्मन है, मैं दोस्ती ग्रेट से करना चाहता हूँ। गुड पैदा होता है खुशी से, इत्मीनान से, खुद के साथ की गई छोटी सी कॉम्प्रोमाइज से। ग्रेट पैदा होता है अंदर की आग से। भले ही सारी दुनिया गुड सुनना चाहती हो, कुछ ऐसे भी लोग हैं जिन्हें गुड नहीं ग्रेट चाहिए। लेट्स गो फॉर ग्रेट। बजाज फिनसर्व।
अगर हम कामयाब हुए तो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा मिशन होगा। अगर टारगेट सही हो तो 2 से 5,000 लोगों की जानें भी जा सकती हैं।
बेटो, मम्मी ने बोला था ना दीवारें खराब मत करना, सुनते नहीं हो तुम।
आपसे भी शुक्ला अंकल ने कहा था बंगला बनवाते समय डॉक्टर फिक्सिट से वाटर प्रूफिंग जरूर करवा लेना। सुनते नहीं हो?
दोबारा सुन लो, घर बनवाते वक्त वाटर प्रूफिंग के लिए सिर्फ डॉक्टर फिक्सिट इस्तेमाल करना। ओके बेटा।
किसी ने अपने हुनर से तराशा मुझे, तो किसी ने अपने हुनर से कमाया मुझे, और किसी ने अपने हुनर से बढ़ाया। हम जानते हैं आपके हुनर का मोल। जी बिजनेस, आपका फायदा।
जानिए प्रॉपर्टी बाजार में मुनाफा कमाने का सीक्रेट फॉर्मूला। डिवाइड करें अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट।
मल्टीप्लाई करें अपने एसेट्स, सब्ट्रैक्ट करें नुकसान का रिस्क, ढूंढ निकालिए राइट लोकेशन, सीखिए प्रॉपर्टी बाजार में प्लस साइज रिटर्न की कैलकुलेशन।
देखिए प्रॉपर्टी प्लस शनिवार सुबह 9:30 बजे, रविवार शाम 6:30 बजे।
प्रायोजक भविष्य का निर्माण आपके लिए।
नहीं बनूंगा सेंसेस। नर्वसनेस तो बहुत ज्यादा है, तो जीतने की पूरी कोशिश करूंगा।
आप अगले घंटे से ये अपने क्लाइंटों की बता दें मुझे कितने कमा के दिया है। ऐसा हकदार ढूंढने को मिले जो वाकई में ये पोजीशन को डिजर्व करता है। भाई पानी ले लो यहाँ पे।
जी बिजनेस प्रेजेंट्स इंडियाज बिगेस्ट डेरिवेटिव्स रियलिटी शो सेंसेक्स का सुल्तान सीजन 2 पावर्ड बाय BSc IPF। 20 जून को राजकोट में होने वाला शो अटेंड करने के लिए राजकोट लिखकर 57575 पर SMS करें। टेक्नोलॉजी पार्टनर वीडियोकॉन DDB नहीं तो टीवी नहीं।
Welcome back. You're watching IndiaMART Emerging Business Forum Season 4. We are here today in Bangalore. Mr. Ashwin, we'll come to you now. Focus, if we see, is on early stage operations. And in that too, on IT, on life sciences, on medical devices. What do you see in a proposal? If they have to approach you, if they've started their business recently and have some ideas and want to approach you, how should they do it?
We do look at a whole lot of the other things that a bank does in terms of the opportunity and all of that, right? The team and the quality of the team. But a couple of quick pointers, especially when you're raising equity financing. I think not just us, because we are an innovation fund, but most other venture capitalists would look at a certain extent of differentiation. And so how you can say that you're different from and not a me too in the marketplace is very important for you to identify as well as to be able to communicate that. The second point I'd like to sort of talk about is when we talk to entrepreneurs, we want to see scale of impact, right? So we want to see the entrepreneurs thinking big. If you have significant impact on either the way people live their lives or the way an industry works, the revenues and the money will flow in automatically, right? So as an investor, you already know that the financial aspect is taken care of. A couple of years back, maybe 3 years back, I had an entrepreneur approach me. This was a smart young guy who had just passed out of MIT, and he had created this medical device, right? And this medical device was to diagnose or to screen, and it was a portable device, a condition called retinopathy, which is a condition of the eye. The screen is the retina, and there's damage to that, either physical damage or because of other conditions like diabetes, the retina starts to deteriorate. And this apparently is a big cause of blindness. He came to me and I asked him, listen, what are you going to do with this device? And he said, I'm going to sell to hospitals. And he named 5 or 6 of the largest hospitals, already been speaking to them. And he said, these are the guys I'm going to sell it to. Just a little bit later, right, actually 2 or 3 weeks later, another entrepreneurial pair, right, of 2 promoters came to me, and these were people who had actually held very senior positions at an MNC in Bangalore, right, again in the healthcare space, and they showed me the identical device, right, and they said, listen, they didn't say we've also, they said we've built this, and I was a little bit more informed, so I was able to ask them a few more questions. And then I finally said, hey, so are you going to sell this to hospitals, right? I assume that's what your market is going to be. And these guys said, listen, there's a big problem in India today. Studies have shown that especially in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, people are not ready to go into hospitals and spend time, right, because of the discomfort and they're already ill.
So you mean the second idea which was there, that clicked with you?
The second idea clicked for one reason, and let me tell you what that reason was. The reason was that while the first gentleman was trying to sell a device to a hospital, the second set of people said, listen, we are not just going to sell this to a hospital. Great. We are going to put up centers where we are going to service all these people and screen them. The idea was so much bigger
if an institutional player is already there. So are you comfortable moving ahead, or do you avoid in that case?
We prefer to be the first institutional investor.
Okay.
We have exceptions or invested in exceptional cases where there have been previous institutional investors, but we typically like to be the first institutional equity investor.
We have also observed that SMEs are not at times maintaining their books properly. So how should SMEs also introspect? How should they come to the formal banking channel?
See, finance or financing is not an aspect in isolation, right? Whenever they have given an example, they have talked about the viability, they have talked about the expertise, of the SME himself, the expertise of the team that he has built over the period, the plan that he has, and similarly, in this whole space, managing your books is also as important as the other things. So, keeping an account is not only just for the sake of getting a financing. I think it is also important for you to keep track on what is happening in your business. You will be so aware and informed about your business that whenever you plan to approach any of these institutions, your project report will be, as in-depth as possible. And I think that is very key. Your project report will not only mention about your big plans, your viability, your hard work that has gone in, it will also talk about those exact numbers and why do you need X crores of money.
In these tough times, what is your message for them? How should one move ahead?
I think it's equally important to have the right kind of governance in the SME sector, in these enterprises, which would mean that the financials that you are sharing with your investors and financial institutions are reliable. 90% of SMEs are reliable. 90% of